How many of you are living within your budget and would like Albany and Washington to live within theirs?
Yeah.
Woo! Here's another question. Do you believe Mr. Obama when he tells you his stimulus plan and corporate bailouts are actually going to help the economy? Do you believe him when he tells you that his health care plan is going to cut the deficit?
No.
I sure don't either. I stand here as a mother who wants her children and future grandchildren to know what freedom is. The government is supposed to work for us, not the other way around. I don't want my children to work their whole lives just to have the government take the money from them and give it to people who don't want to work. Our founding fathers weren't radicals. They were English citizens who knew their rights as free-born Englishmen. They knew that King George had overstepped his bounds and was ignoring their rights. They petitioned repeatedly for the king to uphold his end of the law, as they did. Their petitions fell on deaf ears, kind of like today. The Declaration of Independence is not some radical document. When you read it with the understanding that these men knew their legal rights, you see that it's the American colonies telling a tyrannical king that he's forgotten that rights are not granted by men. I think we have some people who need to be reminded the same thing today. The Tea Party movement is really about the Constitution. Either we are a nation of laws under the Constitution or we're not. John Adams understood it best when he stated, "We define a republic to be a government of laws and not men." We don't have a king. We don't have a Caesar. In reality, our Constitution acts as our king or Caesar. It is the final rule. It rules above all citizens of the United States. Every citizen must adhere to the rules it contains. That includes all the people who are elected to every single political office. They all take that oath to uphold and defend the document. No man is ever to rule over us. He is to serve us instead by working to protect our rights as enumerated in the Constitution and Bill of Rights. Our federal government is given a very limited job to do as outlined in Articles 1 through 3 through the Constitution. Every time they do anything that is beyond their limited job, they break the law. We are now awakening to the reality that our country is being led, and actually has been led for a long time, by lawbreakers. The question for us now is, what are we going to do about it? I, for one, am not going to continue just putting up with it. No more sitting on the sidelines wondering what is happening to the nation I love. This is the second annual Tax Day Tea Party here in Auburn and in hundreds of cities across America. Last year, when we came out with our homemade signs and told the government that we'd had enough, they tried to ignore us, discounting us, saying we would just soon fade away. Well, a year later, it doesn't look like we're fading away. In fact, a year later, it looks like we've been joined by many more Americans who are fed up and not going to just go home quietly and continue paying their taxes so the government can give their money to other people who don't want to work. I believe that the Tea Party movement is really just getting started. We'll continue to grow, and we will continue to educate ourselves and become more involved in the politics of our nation. Our country didn't get in the mess we're in overnight. We're not getting out of it overnight either. It's going to take hard work and vigilance. I believe in the people who are showing up at tea parties. I have faith that we will rise up and be the ones to begin fixing the mess. We will teach our children to work hard and be vigilant also. Thomas Jefferson said it best, "The price of freedom is eternal vigilance." He also said, "When the people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty." You know what? I want the government to fear we the people. I want my liberty. I love the nation our founding fathers gave us, this nation that was conceived in liberty. The flags on either side of the posts here are called Washington's Cruisers flag. They're named that because George Washington knew we needed a navy to fight the British in 1775. He purchased 6 ships that became our first navy. The navy needed a flag to distinguish it from the British. It was decided to use the symbol of the Liberty Tree in Boston. This was a giant elm tree that was near the Boston Commons where the Sons of Liberty met to plan the Revolution. An angry loyalist had recently cut it down and used it for firewood, and the tree then became a symbol of liberty throughout the colonies. George Washington then added the words, "and appealed to heaven." This was a reference to a resolution by the Provincial Congress of Massachusetts which states, "Appealing to heaven for the justice of our cause, we determine to die or be free." If these men could be so determined to fight to death to give us our liberty, shouldn't we be just as determined to fight to keep it? As George Washington said, the time is near at hand which must determine whether Americans are to be free men or slaves. We need to choose today to be free men. Thank you.